Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode on my podcast. I am sitting here in my office, and holy cow, it is 2023. We did it. We closed the chapter of 2022. And if you're anything like me, you are so excited for that. And it is a breath of fresh air to have a completely clean slate, brand new month. It's Monday, and yeah, we're feeling good. Over the holidays, I had spent time in Denver, which was actually really nice because obviously living in Austin, Texas, it's like sunny and 75 here in January. And so it was super nice to just be in a different city, different state, where I actually saw snow for the first time in quite some time. So that was really nice, being able to, just slow down for the holidays and meet my boyfriend's family for the first time. And just spend some quality time with everybody. Also went to a Nuggets basketball game, which was so much fun. I haven't been to like a professional sports game in a very, very, very long time. That was a ton of fun. But updates are going to be very short, quick, to the point today, because I just wanted to dive on in. I wanted to talk about lessons and epiphanies that I had from 2022. And I wanted to break them down into categories. So I wanted to go through epiphanies in my relationships, career, health, personal development, and mindset. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into lesson or epiphany number one that I had in regards to relationships. So as far as this past year, 2022, which is so crazy, feels like forever ago. I was actually single in the beginning phases of 2022. And I was just single and ending a pretty long relationship. And I always, I guess like I've always had a certain standard in my head for what I want my relationship to be like, just like you should, you should have standards for your significant other and your relationship. And I don't think that you should waver. I think that something that I always reminded myself, and I still remind myself of, is because I choose to evolve and because I choose to grow, my partner, my significant other, is also going to be someone who evolves and grows. And whatever I bring to the table, I'm going to find someone who also brings those things to the table and more. And that's always been my standard. And that's exactly kind of what happened this year. Not kind of what happened. It's exactly what happened. And I think that for a lot of us, in regards to relationships, it's super easy to settle. It's super easy to, just meet a really, really good person and, just take it as it is. And I guess the best word for it is to settle. And that it's not right. And that there's some things that you disconnect on, but it's super easy to settle for those things because they end up being just a super nice person. And that's something I had to be very conscious about in my past relationships is, are they just a nice person or are they your person? And only the answer to that. And just something that I learned this year as another reminder is that your standards are never too high. And as long as you are constantly working on yourself and evolving, there is somebody out there who is bringing the same to the table and more and more. I promise you that. And that's why it's so important, being in this community of raising the standard, the higher standard is just having those gut checks with yourself of like, okay, how am I holding myself to a higher standard in my career, in my relationships, in my mindset, in my personal growth, in my health? And making sure that you hit that gut check with yourself and make sure that, you're doing well in those areas, because it's not fair to expect someone else to be doing really, really well in those areas if you're not bringing that to the table. And only if you are or not. And for me at the beginning of the year, I know that, I was really striving and pushing in every single area to continuously grow in every area. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but my point being is that I'm constantly striving to grow in each area of my life. And that was the standard that I have for myself in regards to relationships and whoever I met. had to meet those standards and take care of themselves in their health and take care of themselves in their mindset and their personal growth and their career and their friendships and all of those things. And yeah, just your reminder, your standards are not ever too high. You know what you bring to the table. There is somebody out there that brings the same as you plus more. There really is. I promise you that. And I think that another thing that I learned in relationships is to speak up for your needs, your wants, and desires. This is so important to remember because nobody can guess what you want. No one's a mind reader. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friend, your boss, your coworker, whoever, they cannot read your mind. They can't read your mind straight up. So whatever you need, whatever you want, you have to speak up and communicate. And of course, do it nicely, right? There's definitely ways to bring things up nicely. And I think that my biggest reminder when it comes to relationships is if something is feeling off or, you're wanting something, to always start with the I feel, like, hey, this makes me feel, or I've been feeling. And that way it isn't accusatory and you're not saying like, you make me feel this way, or, it's I feel. And that's something that I always have to constantly remind myself when I'm talking about my wants, my needs, or desires in my relationships is like, hey, I feel this way. This makes me feel a certain type of way. And obviously just expressing my emotions and expressing my needs and my wants. And so this is like a constant reminder for myself to speak up and that it's okay to have needs and wants and desires. And just remember that people love to help people. They do. And so it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for what you want. If that person or those people like actually care about you, they're going to want to help. I promise you they're going to want to help, but they can't help unless you ask for it. They are not mind readers. I'll say that a million times. And this is why we always hear that, like, when people are like, oh, like, what's the key to a good relationship? I'm talking about every relationship, not only like your intimate relationships, but every relationship, friendships, work relationships, like you name it. Like, they always say communication, communication, communication. And yes, I can't drive that point harder than I am right now. Like, just ask. You have to be open and remember that people want to help people. And by opening up that communication with that person, then you guys are going to just have like such a better relationship overall, because you're just getting a head start of that open line of communication overall. And as long as you're coming in with pure intentions, I think that they're going to be able to read your energy, if you come in with good intentions overall. So yeah, those are my big aha moments for relationships. Some were just reminders again this year. Some of them I've already had, obviously. So the next one is for health. So, oh my goodness. I think in the beginning of 2022, I honestly was in really, really good, I was in a good place with my health and fitness journey. I felt really, really good, just overall, very, very consistent nutrition on point. I came into 2022 like feeling incredible. A lot of things happened this year that really threw a huge curveball at me, and I'll get to that in a few. And obviously that stuff really, really sucked, but it was really, really cool health-wise, or I guess consistency-wise. I went through the hardest time I think I ever went through my entire life. And because I've been so consistent on my health and fitness journey, I never skipped a beat with my workouts or my nutrition. And it was actually my boyfriend and my friends had like brought this up to me throughout the year. And they're like, I can't believe you're going through so much and you're still like on top of your stuff and you're still getting to the gym and you're still, eating right. And like you haven't skipped a beat. It's like you're not even phased at all. And obviously I contribute a lot of that to just the years and years of consistency that I've had underneath my belt. And as cool as that was, obviously, as cool as it was to be super consistent, despite my crazy hectic 2022, it was also important for me to realize that my cortisol levels were haywire and absolutely crazy. My emotions were everywhere. And I just had this moment to myself where, I've been working out since 2011, very consistently, very, very consistently. And I just had this moment to myself where I was just talking and yeah, I was just like, you need to rest. Like, it's okay to rest. Like, you're literally going through so much right now. And I'm not saying rest doesn't like quit, obviously, but it's like, it's okay to like not work out 6 times a week. Like, we can pull back to like 3 to 4 times a week. And for someone, I mean, who's been in the health and fitness space for a very long time, also just being a competitor and just having a very competitive edge, like it's really hard for me to rest in a lot of aspects in like, my health and fitness journey and my career. It's really hard for me to slow down. And I have this mindset of like, I can be resilient and I can push through everything. But sometimes it's not healthy to push through. And that was a huge wake up call that I had. And I actually had that with a couple of people in my life this year where we were just having conversations about it. There's just a lot of people in my life who have very similar mentalities as I do, as far as like just pushing the limits and being go, go, go all the time and always doing. And rest is just really, really hard to be okay with because of, some type of guilt, like work guilt. Like I would say like the majority of 2022, and we'll get into this when I go into career, but I had a overcompensation with working and was really obsessed and got very, very obsessive with it. And it was a lot of work and no play, no rest type of thing. And so finally towards the end of 2022, I just had to come to terms with resting. And yeah, it was, I learned that rest is my best friend, and it really helped me really explore a lot in my personal development sector of life, which I'm excited to get into as well. So as far as my big epiphany for health, it was for anybody who's like me, who is always go, 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 like kind of like quote unquote, no days off. I mean, not really, but I was just working out 5 to 6 times a week during like a lot of chaos. This is just a reminder to slow down, and it's okay to take some rest, during like crazy periods of your life, which was definitely my year. So next one, let's see, what do we want to go into? Okay, cool. Career. So entrepreneur to entrepreneur. Hi, hello. Let's just run it back really briefly for a little overview on what my entrepreneur journey has looked like. So I started the Higher Standard back in 2017. And back then I was an in-person trainer and trained all of my clients at a gym in Columbus, Ohio. And then I started online coaching in 2019. I was a one-man show for quite some time. I made my first hire in 2020, I believe, or the end of 2019, I believe. Yeah, end of 2019. And then in 2020, I had moved to Austin, Texas, and 2020 was the biggest year yet for my company. And obviously, with the pandemic and everything, health was super important for a lot of people to jump on and to take care of with everything going around, right? And then also on top of that, because everybody was forced to be indoors, everyone was really craving community. And that's exactly what the Higher Standard provides, is obviously community and health and fitness. And so we took care of both. And so 2020 was a huge year. I invested in my business coach, and he really helped me scale. And as a business owner, obviously, this is like one of your biggest goals, is to scale and to help as many people as possible. And it's such an exciting time. And then you get to employ people and give them jobs. And it was such an exciting time. And in 2020, all the way to 2021, I had scaled my company from a team of 1 to a team of 16. And that is a huge jump. And that is rapid growth. That is very rapid growth for our industry, in the health and fitness industry. So not a lot of people in our industry have scaled in a way that my company has. It is very, very challenging, very hard. And it was obviously a very proud moment. I mean, it's insane how many women we've been able to help along the way, and the lives that we've been able to change, and the community that we've been able to build. And obviously building my team, it was so incredible. And learning from my mentors, I heard this a lot And you always think like, oh yeah, like, but that'll never be me. And I really truly didn't think it would ever be me. But someone I look up to a lot is his name's Alex Hormozy, and his wife Layla Hormozy. I mean, they've talked about it. Every single entrepreneur has talked about it. But again, it's just one of those things where you're just like, yeah, but I don't see that happening. But they literally always said it. They always say that how rapid growth typically crashes. And that's exactly what happened inside of my company. And I know that a lot of people don't talk about this, and I really wish that people did. And so it's really, really uncomfortable to talk about, but I know that it's important for other people to be aware, because I think that a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves to be perfect. I mean, as do I. And when you're constantly looking up to your mentors or whoever you look up to, and they constantly always look like everything's okay, it makes you feel a little weird that like nothing's okay in your world, if that makes sense. And so vulnerability has been like a huge epiphany for me this year, as I'm very, very good at pushing through and being resilient and figuring things out. But I made a post on Instagram quite some time, maybe a couple of weeks ago, just sharing what had happened within my company. And it was absolutely insane, the response that I got, and the amount of entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs and coaches in my space, who had gone through similar things and felt very, very alone during that time, because nobody was talking about this. And granted, we had a very, very big fall. But I just want to back up and explain like why I think things happen the way that they happen. And obviously, like I said, when you scale that quick, holy cow, it's like a whirlwind. Like it's a whirlwind. I mean, you're building so quickly, and you're helping everyone grow so quickly. And I wrote a couple of notes down, so if you see me looking down, I think the biggest thing was we dipped into the scale to quick phase, where my personal leadership and communication had to play catch up with my structure setup. So for me personally, my background is very like technical. So I love building structures, and I love building things, and creating the job positions, and creating the structure, and creating the back end was one of my favorite things that I did in scaling my company for my team. But obviously, as you're building a team, there's other qualities that you also have to be aware of, like communication and leadership. And things can't always just be based off of structure, because the structure is great, but now you have 16 people on the team that all have feelings, and all have emotions, and all have personal lives, and all have all of these things going on at once. And no one teaches you how to handle those things. And as the business owner, and obviously I'm not making an excuse, because this is, the lesson learned. And obviously I'm working on getting better, and I'm definitely getting better. And I'm really excited for 2023 and everything that happened this past year. Like, I'm so grateful for it, because it has taught me so much that I would have never, ever learned unless something like this happened. Like, I know that for sure. And so, yeah, the lesson learned is, now this year has been so purely focused on bettering my communication skills, and bettering my leadership skills, and bettering my team culture skills, and just a lot of different aspects that you don't necessarily think of in the beginning of building your business, because in the very beginning, the only thing that you're thinking of is backend, structure, and scaling. And then if you scale too quick, then exactly what happens. And you have this moment of like, oh, okay, now I need to, backtrack and just be better in this area. And entrepreneurship is so crazy, because there's so many areas that you have to be good at. And back when I was a one-man show, I was doing everything. I was doing sales calls, I was doing the coaching, I was doing the marketing, I was doing the branding, I was doing the admin work, I was doing the back-end structure, I was doing all of these things. And you have to wear so many hats as an entrepreneur, but then when you mix in more people, yes, it just gets very, very complex. And again, it's just like nobody really teaches you how to handle that. And that's what 22 taught me, is how to slow down and really pour myself into team leadership, communication, culture. So it was just a huge pivot point for me and a learning curve for me to go from a very scaling mindset and a structure mindset to a communication, culture, team headspace, if that makes sense, as a leader. So that was my biggest aha moment. And yeah, for me as an entrepreneur. And I think that vulnerability is definitely topping that as well, because it's just really important. To just to share this. I think it's very important to share this because I know that a lot of people just aren't talking about it. And I felt very alone this year because I didn't have a single person who could relate to anything that I was going through. And I didn't have a single person who could help point me in the right direction. Even like my greatest mentors at the time didn't know what to tell me or didn't know what to do. And I felt like I was just crawling out of a hole by myself the entire year. It was absolutely exhausting, but we made it to the end of the tunnel and I learned a lot of lessons through that. And so that's kind of what I want to go into, is just like the personal development and mindset epiphanies and aha moments from 2022. So one thing that I really learned during the heat of everything is there's always time. So all of 2022, I was clearly like overcompensating and overworking to build my business back up from the ground up. And I was very, very exhausted from this and would almost catch myself working just to overcompensate to work more, even though I had already gotten literally everything that needed to get done. I was burning myself out because I felt like I had to overcompensate. And I find kind of like similar to like my health and fitness journey, I had to have a conversation with myself and ask, what is this actually doing? Is this actually pushing anybody forward for just like working overtime just to work overtime? Like, what is that doing? Because I kept on having like work guilt, some would say. And so I finally just had this moment with myself and my significant other. He like kind of like pulled me to the side and was just like, hey, like, to be honest, I really think that it would be more beneficial if you had time to just rest and just get what you need to get done and just rest. And that's very hard for an entrepreneur and someone who's go, 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 because you always want to push the business forward and you always want to do more and you always want to, it's always like a cortisol is up, like race to go do the next thing type of thing. And yeah, that's exactly how it has been since the beginning of my business. And your body and your mind can only take so much of that. And so I had to be okay with rest. And I just found myself neglecting my own personal growth and my own mindset with work. So I just had to have that conversation to slow down and to make time, because there's always time. There really is always time for you. You just have to be very intentional with it. And so I started making more time for myself, and holy cow, I decided to read a book. And it's been so long since I have read a book, and I need you guys to 100% get this book. Obviously, with everything that happened over this past year, I experienced anxiety for the first time. And that was very, very hard for me, obviously. And I did not know what to do about it. I honestly got angry. I got very, very angry and upset that I couldn't get rid of this thing. And for someone who is really good at pushing through and sucking it up and being resilient, it was very aggravating that I couldn't get this anxiousness feeling out of me. It was just this tightness in my chest that I couldn't shake. Like I couldn't shake it at all. And part of what helped is one, slowing down and easing up with workouts and easing up with, just getting my job done and not feeling this chaotic feeling of like, you got to do more, you got to do more, you got to do more. Like I had this this talk with like, during this season, it's okay not to do more. And you're better off if you spend time with yourself and you rest and you give yourself some love. And so this book has been sitting on my bookshelf for literally like the past like 5 years, and I never cracked it open, And I talked about this, I think, on my last podcast, but I'm a true believer in whatever's meant for you will find you in the right time. And this book has been sitting there for 5 years and I've never read it. But all of a sudden this year, everything that happened to me, I saw this book. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. You 100% need it. And I open it because it's about the brain, right? And with anxiety, obviously I'm no like professional with anxiety, but I'm just talking about my experience with anxiety. It was these loops of thinking about the same thing over and over and over. Clearly, I just went through a very like traumatic experience, and I was just getting angry. I didn't know how to get rid of it. I literally was just getting so mad. And so I find this book, I crack it open, and it was just like, this book found me at the right time. It's been sitting there the whole time, but I was never drawn to it. But my energy just matched this book. And I swear the book was just like, yo, you need me. So I dove right into this book. It took me forever to read it. But seriously, I really, truly think that it was one of the biggest things that helped me. Like, I wouldn't say like I cured my anxiety, but I would say that things are a lot lower than they were. And it really, really helped me. And yeah, I just highly recommend that for anybody who may be going through something similar. It really helped me slow down and rethink and reframe a lot of things that, I was experiencing and thinking. Oh, what else do we got here? I'm also recording on YouTube and it is getting so dark. My lighting is not looking that great. So my room is like pitch black. All right. So yeah, I think for like personal development and mindset, like one big thing that kind of goes together between career mindset and personal development is, when I first started my business, I've been talking about this on my podcast for a while, but I have a lot of masculine energy, a lot of go, 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 a lot of like, I don't talk about emotions, don't talk about feelings, yada, yada. And obviously when you have a team and you're working with a lot of people, you can't be like that, because people have feelings and people have emotions. And, there are definitely a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but there's definitely some people on my team that have a similar mindset, or just who are super masculine and very go, 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 go. But that's not everybody on my team, and it's not going to be everybody on my team. And so what I learned from everything that happened this year is that, yes, my masculine energy, my masculine leadership is very important. It's what built the structure that I have. It's what literally built everything. The structure, like the tasks, the to-do list, the automations, the literally everything that I have created on my back end, which is so great. You really can't run a business unless you have some type of structure, right? You have to have the container. But what this year taught me, obviously, is that my feminine energy and my feminine leadership is also very important. And that is your communication, and that is your energy, and that's the way that you show up, and that's how you connect with people. And I don't think that I would have had this epiphany if things didn't happen the way that they happen. And so I'm a firm believer in your darkest storms will always yield to your brightest days. That's quite literally how I even birthed my company in the first place, was because of a really, really dark time. And same thing goes for 2022. I think that with everything that happened, and as chaotic as it may have been, I'm only going to be a better leader, a better human, a better lover, a better friend, like you name it, all around. And now I have this journey of learning about my own feminine energy. And like, now I'm going to be way more balanced of a human and talk to people about their emotions and feelings, but also have the masculine side of like, we're getting things done. And it's just so important to have that balance. And I'm a human, and I'm evolving, and I'm learning, And just like everybody else that I come in contact with, like nobody is perfect. And I just think that it's just a really cool thing that we get these second chances, even though the lesson may have hurt a lot. And it may have been like very, very challenging, but I want you to remember, like, whatever like challenge or storm that you're going through, just know that the darker the moment, the brighter the day, like once you get through it. Right. And I know that this is the saying, how does it go? It's like, God only gives his toughest battles to his toughest soldiers or something like that. Like, I truly believe that about myself. I feel like I've gone through a lot of really, really hard things. And I think that I have been put here on earth to like go through really hard things and to endure hard things so that I can be a better leader and help other people navigate similar situations. And that's honestly why I created the Higher Standard in the first place, is because I got myself through a really hard time, really dark time, and kept this standard and this image in my head that things will be better, things will be better. My life will be better. My health will be better. My family will be better. My career will be better. All these, like, I had this vision. I held tight onto it, even though I was in the depths of the darkest moments of my life. And because I held that higher standard for myself, it helped me get through those dark times, and it helped me, create something really beautiful. And I think that that's what 2022 served me as. And I don't know what this full picture is for this bright day that's coming, but I do know that it's coming because, this was a dark year, but I'm really excited to turn things around and to make something really, really beautiful, from it. Yeah. I think the last thing that I have to say about that is, because of this year, I have so much expansion and I learned so much, and I went really, really deep into my own mindset and personal development and healing and slowing down. And yeah, I think that I just had a lot of expansion as a leader overall. And I'm really excited for what's to come and what I have planned for anyone who's in my industry. If you're a coach, if you're an entrepreneur, what have you, like, I'm really excited to bring what I have coming, to everyone and to light. And I think that it's going to be super powerful. And I know that that's really annoying because I'm like soft launching, for you guys. But yeah, 2022 taught me a lot of things. And yeah, I'm just very excited. So that's all I have for today. Those are like pretty much my biggest epiphanies. And I always want to keep it real, with you guys, with, everything that's going on. And, if it could help at least one person, that's really powerful to me. So that is my 2022 little mini recap. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure to leave a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. And also make sure to share on Instagram. If you take a listen to this episode, make sure to tag me, so that I can see and say hello, to you. But that's all I have for you guys today, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.